George, it's such a lovely walk to Kirrin Cottage, said Anne. You know how you love to see your island, dear old Kirrin Island, as we walk to your mother's house, and the bay, and hear the waves crashing on the rocks. I'm taking the station taxi, said George, obstinately, counting the money in her purse. If you'd like to come with me, you can. It's Timmy I want to see, not islands and waves and things. I'm sure he's ill or has had an accident or something. All right, George. Do as you please, said Julian. Hope you find dear old Timmy is perfectly well and has only forgotten the time of the train. See you later. The two brothers and their sister Anne set off together, looking forward to the walk to Kirrin Cottage. How lovely to see Kirrin Bay again, and George's island. Isn't she lucky to have a real island of her very own, said Anne. Fancy belonging to her family for years and years, and then one day her mother suddenly gives it to George. I bet she worried and worried dear Aunt Fanny until she gave in to old George. I do so hope Timmy's all right. We shan't enjoy our holidays with George's mother if there's anything wrong with Timmy. Oh, George will probably go and live in Timmy's kennel with him, said Dick with a chuckle. Oh, look, the sea and Kirrin Bay, and the little old island as lovely as ever, with its gulls circling round and mewing like cats, said Julian, and the old ruined castle there, just exactly the same as usual. Not a single stone fallen out of it, as far as I can see. You can't possibly see at this distance, said Anne, screwing up her eyes. Oh, isn't the first day of the Hulls heavenly? We seem to have all the time in the world in front of us. Yes, and then after a few days the holidays rush by, said Julian. I wonder if George is home by now. Well, her taxi passed us, going at a tremendous pace, said Dick. I bet old George was shouting at the driver to go as fast as possible. Look, there's Kirrin Cottage. I can just see the chimneys in the distance, said Dick. Smoke's coming from one of them. Funny. Why, only one, said Julian. They usually have the kitchen fire going, and a fire in Uncle Quentin's study. He's such a cold mortal when he's working out all his wonderful figures for his inventions. Perhaps he's away, said Anne hopefully. She was rather afraid of George's hasty-tempered father. I should think Uncle Quentin could do with a holiday at times. He's always buried in rows and rows of figures. Well, let's hope we don't disturb him too much, said Julian. It's hard on Aunt Fanny if he keeps yelling at everyone. We'll try and be out of doors most of the time. They were nearly at Kirrin Cottage now. As they came near to the front gate, they saw George come running down the garden path. To Julian's horror, she was crying bitterly. I say, it does look as if something's happened to old Timmy, he said, scared. It's not like George to cry. She never cries. What can have happened? In great alarm, they began to run, and Anne shouted as she ran, George, George, what's the matter? Is something wrong with Timmy? What's happened? We can't stay at home, wept George. We've got to go away somewhere. Something awful's happened. What is it? Tell us, you idiot, said Dick in alarm. For goodness sake, what's happened? Is Timmy run over or something? No, it isn't Timmy, said George, wiping her eyes with her hand, because as usual she had no handkerchief. It's Joan, our dear darling cook. What's the matter with her? Asked Julian, thinking of all kinds of dreadful things. George, will you please tell us? Joan's got scarlet fever, said George, sniffing dolefully, so we can't be at Kirrin Cottage. Why not? Demanded Dick. Joan will have to go to hospital, and we can all stay at Kirrin Cottage and help your mother. Poor old Joan. But cheer up, George. Scarlet fever isn't much of a thing to have nowadays. Come on, let's go in and see if we can comfort your mother. Poor old Aunt Fanny, she will be in a stew, with all of us 4 cousins at Kirrin Cottage too. Never mind, we can stop jabbering, Dick, said George, exasperated. We can't stay at Kirrin Cottage. Mother wouldn't even let me go in at the front door. She shooed me away and said I was to wait in the garden. The doctor was coming in a minute or two. Someone called to them from a window of Kirrin Cottage. Are you all there, children? Julian, come here, will you? They all went into the garden and saw their Aunt Fanny, George's mother, leaning out of a bedroom window. Listen, dears, she said.